Wow. I have been on such a journey in my love life with this man. It has been absolutely nuts, absolutely crazy. And so many people think when they see our posts on social media, they see us enjoying nice dinners, dates, car rides together. We just can't keep our hands off of each other, lovey-dovey.
Cuddling on the beach,
Yeah.
in bed, yeah.
They just think, oh, how easy. They just have it so easy. Must be nice. Must be nice to have a partner who also is personal growth oriented.
And it does feel like that now.
It does feel like that now. It does feel easy. Now it does feel blissful every single day with this man. But I wanted to make this video. We wanted to make this video because it was not always this way. It used to be incredibly different. In many ways, the opposite of what we're experiencing now. And I used to be incredibly miserable in this relationship and didn't know how I was ever going to get to a place in the relationship where I could be happy. And in this video, I want to talk to you about the journey behind the scenes, what I did myself to change my life and take my power back, and also ultimately inspire him to want to be the best man he could be for me, like he does today. There was a time where I felt miserable in my relationship with this man. I did not feel happy. I did not feel like I was treated well. I did not feel like I was valued. I felt very disrespected, taken for granted. I had done so much to try to make him as happy as I could make him. I thought if I made him happy, we would be happy as a team. We would live the dream life that I had always envisioned for us. And so many of the things I was doing were completely backfiring on me. And he just was not kind to me. He would yell at me, argue with me. I would try to tell him what I wanted, and what I thought could be simple requests would turn into just me being completely ignored, or they would turn into battles, fights, arguments. And I got to a point where I realized that no person in my life treated me worse than my own husband. And I also got to a point where I had no idea how much longer I could last in the marriage. And I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. I thought there needed to be some kind of miracle if things were going to last. And I had no idea what that would be. Now, like Zach said, we are so happy, so thriving. He treats me like a king, like royalty. He's so devoted to me. He's so devoted to our family. He cares about me. He's so attentive to my needs, my wants, my desires. And things have been really, really, really good for a while. And now they keep getting better and better and better. It's not we reached a high point and things leveled out. They keep getting better.
And we've been together for almost 10 years.
Yeah, we've been together for almost 10 years, and I'm so proud of us and where we are now, because it is something very rare. It's something I don't see a lot of. And I want to tell you a bit about what I did to get here. It's hard to summarize in just a few minutes, but we have whole curriculums that we've created that help men do this, and that's what our biggest passion is. Outside of our marriage and love that we share with each other, our biggest passion is helping other gay men enjoy the kind of passion, the eroticism, the steadiness, the peace, the consistency, and also the mystery and the newness and the exhilaration, the balance of all of it that we have in our monogamous relationship.
Yeah, this video is for you if you are someone who has found yourself, whether you're single or in a relationship, as the one who is continuously overgiving, trying so hard to be chosen, to feel loved, to feel valued, feeling like you're trying to plan the perfect dates, putting yourself out there, bending over backwards to try to be the man that you think he wants you to be. We want you to know that these efforts are the very thing that are getting in the way of you actually being desired, being respected, being appreciated in the ways that you're most craving. And we want to help you stop putting in all this effort only to feel undervalued, unappreciated, and invisible in your relationships. There is a path forward, and it has nothing to do with changing how you look or how much money you make or your age or dick size. It's about how you're showing up energetically. And this is something that Andrew really initiated in our relationship because the dynamic was very codependent, very lopsided. He was giving so much to me, putting me on a pedestal. And what neither of us realized at the time is that that was the behavior that was really teaching me to take him for granted, to look down on him as he put me on this pedestal. And instead of reciprocating his acts of kindness and love, I just took him more and more for granted. And I honestly stopped desiring him. We would make love and we would get off together, but a lot of the times I was fantasizing about being with other men. And for a while I even convinced Andrew to let me explore dating other people. It wasn't until Andrew made these really significant changes that completely transformed not only our relationship, but how I related to him, how I saw him. And that's what's led to me stepping the fuck up to truly be the partner that he deserved all along. But it wasn't him trying harder and trying to please me and give me things and make life easy for me that made all the difference. Tell them what did and what you did to make those changes.
Yeah, so I did a lot. If I was the definition of a personal development junkie, hired so many coaches, hundreds, probably maybe thousands of hours of journaling, meditation, studying, researching, analyzing my thoughts, analyzing his actions daily, like working on myself. And sometimes it felt like all the work I was doing was not getting me anywhere. Like affirmations, gratitude journaling, all sorts of things, going to so many different retreats, personal development retreats, hiring experts. Like, I don't know any friends that have invested in more personal development and coaching than I have.
And this is stuff a lot of guys watching are trying. Why do you think those things didn't work?
So they were not as targeted and focused as they could have been. None of the experts, none of the coaches, none of the mentors I hired had gone through the same kinds of challenges that I went through in a relationship and stayed in that relationship and came out of it the other side to have a thriving relationship. Every other person that has had the relationship challenges that we have had, they did not last. They broke up. And I was so committed to seeing what I could do, because ultimately, while my personal development stuff didn't manifest the healthy, stable relationship of my dreams, I did have the awareness that whatever's happening in my world, my relationship with Zach, I'm the one that ended up in a relationship with someone who doesn't treat me well. That's me. I'm the one who did that. And it's not from a place of blame, but it's a place of taking responsibility that I attracted this into my life and I'm continuing to interact and engage with this. And I wanted to make the changes that I could make because I also, when things were really, really bad, I was at a place where if our marriage didn't last, I felt so devastated that I didn't believe I could trust myself to have a relationship with another man ever again without getting hurt and devastated again and falling into the same type of patterns, because I've heard the platitudes, right? Wherever you go, there you are. Yeah. And so I was so committed to getting to the root of this. And the first thing I really, truly committed to focusing on was prioritizing my own inner peace. I focused on prioritizing my own inner peace and my own inner sense of security above everything else in my life. I realized that so many of the actions I was taking, there was some fear motivating or driving my actions and behaviors. Like, I was afraid of what would happen in our relationship if I didn't help make him happy. I was driven by fear.
Yeah, fear of abandonment, fear of judgment, fear of not being valuable. I think now that we've, come out the other side, we can really more clearly see like what was causing all of this. And it was those very fears that was driving what we now call caregiver energy, this overgiving, self-sacrificing, almost self-abandoning type of energy, because you felt like you needed to earn my love and earn my affection, and you felt like if I didn't give you that validation, you didn't know how to feel valuable and important at the time. And so, learning to fill your own cup and learning how to, really create that sense of security. What did that change for you? What did you notice when you, with a lot of trial and error in a really clunky way, got there? What did that feel like for you, and what was different?
Well, I got to a place where I was able to be so internally calm, so internally peaceful, so internally stable that he could do things that would have triggered a past version of me, that would have made a past version of me upset, want to defend myself or explain or argue. And I just wasn't triggered by it anymore. I got to a place of knowing that I'm going to be completely okay no matter what happens in my relationship. I'm going to be okay, and I can also really thrive and enjoy my life no matter what happens in my relationship. And so that really helped me disconnect from a lot of the people pleasing I was doing. And this wasn't just in my relationship with Zach, by the way. This caregiver energy, this overgiving was showing up in so many areas of my life, so many relationships, in my work, just trying to be all I could be for other people, but often not really prioritizing myself and my own needs, my own wants and desires. And so it was really powerful to not be as impacted by what Zach was doing or not doing. And from there, I felt like I could breathe again. I felt like I could just, it felt like so much weight was lifted off of my shoulders. I didn't feel like I was responsible for figuring our relationship out anymore, where I used to feel like it was all up to me to figure things out. I didn't feel like I was responsible for what happened with us. I was like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I can't control him. I'm not going to try to control him. I'm not going to try to make him change. I'm just over here.
And I'm going to be okay. It was something I think you really realized at that point. You created this sense of safety and security that was internal instead of it being dependent on how I was treating you. And also, I know you did a lot more work after this, but you also knew to not let yourself be in toxic or harmful situations. And that's when I noticed you were giving yourself a lot more space instead of being the one to try to fix everything and mend everything and talk through everything. I noticed a big change in you where you were really giving yourself the space. If I was doing things that would normally trigger you or cause a reaction, you were staying a lot more calm. If I was acting in inappropriate ways or being selfish and manipulative and entitled, which I admit that I had been at the time, I noticed you were just really removing yourself from the situation. And that's where I knew, wow, my old tricks to get my way aren't going to work anymore. And that's when I realized, wow, Andrew really is making some changes. But it didn't stop there. It was that was the first leg of the transformation that I know took, quite a while for you to figure out. But once you got really settled in that foundation of security and chipping away at those fears and feeling solid in yourself, feeling safe, I feel like that was the big thing now that you've described to me more about it. And what we now help other gay men with is sourcing that sense of safety from within. Mm-hmm. What was next for you after that weight was lifted?
Yeah. So the first part was really getting to more peace, more stability, that inner foundation. The next part was remembering who the fuck I am. Remembering how powerful I am, remembering how amazing I am, connecting to this deep well of confidence that if you're like a lot of guys we worked with, maybe you had this deep confidence like in your early 20s or your teens or mid 20s. Maybe there's some time in your life where you just felt like you could do anything.
Or maybe there hasn't.
And there might not have been, but for me, like I used to have this strong like vision and goal and zest for life, and like I'm going to achieve my goals. And it felt like I got my power back, and I connected more to like the uniqueness, what makes me me, what makes me authentic, what makes me so radiant and magnetic in the first place. And this was about really connecting with my values, what's most important to me, like passion, pleasure, joy, wellness, creativity, expression, like as an individual, what do I want to be experiencing on a daily basis in my most thriving, blissful, abundant life? And so I was getting really clear on those, and that also required me to be super honest with myself and see, where am I compromising my values? Where am I sacrificing my values? And that includes in my marriage, or that also includes in other places. Where am I working extra hours, stressing myself out, when really I want more time in nature? And when I started to do that, like just my energy started elevating. I really got to a place where I was loving life itself, like more than I ever had before. And there's other things I did, like setting higher standards. I got more specific on what am I available for in my life, what am I not available for. That's another really exciting thing I did.
And yeah, I think really aligning your standards, especially in our relationship, of ways that you had been compromising yourself before, and then ways that you were no longer available for. And with this newfound like self-respect and what we call honoring yourself, it was really a wake-up call for me. Where before you had set boundaries and made requests, but then you would cave on them. It was like, now you really meant it. And you gave yourself permission to speak your mind, not in an arrogant or conceited or cocky way, but in a way that was very self-respecting. And this is where I saw this level of boldness and magnetism within you, where you were no longer afraid to communicate what it was that you were thinking and how you were feeling and what you weren't and weren't available for. And this is where, instead of removing yourself from the situation, you would lean in and say, Zach, I'm not available to be talked to this way. I'm not available for this type of conversation. And instead of over-explaining and then trying to help me see, it was like you kind of left me to figure it out myself, because you were no longer carrying the relationship on your shoulders. You weren't carrying the emotional weight. And when you had mentioned the part about like really finding the things that really filled your cup and the things that you enjoyed, like that was another thing. It was like, I felt like before I had all this power where I could withhold love and affection and, you know, give him some time, and then he'd come crawling back, apologizing, even though, you know, the situation and the complications might have been more of my fault. I felt like I just kind of had this ability to just kind of like keep you on a leash and you'd come follow me around, and that completely changed. Instead, it was like, I felt like I was almost feeling like I was being left behind, not in a cruel way, but it was like Andrew was filling his cup. He was exploring like time in nature and like connecting with not other romantic partners, but like friends that felt like more nourishing for him, and doing more things that really like allowed you to feel more alive and more expansive. And it was like I saw him from afar having all this fun without me, and it just really caught my attention. And it was like, oh my gosh, like, who is this man? This guy that I had once seen as this pushover, as this, you know, doormat type of guy that would just basically tolerate anything. I saw that he wasn't going to sit around and wait for me for a very long time if I didn't step the fuck up and join him in this higher energetic frequency. I saw that he was available for fun and joy and connection and respect and love, and it's something that I wanted to be a part of. It wasn't just that I realized like he wasn't going to wait around forever for me, and that there was a good chance I was going to lose the relationship if I didn't step the fuck up. This man that was having so much fun, filling his cup, like finding his interests and his passions and his hobbies and really respecting and honoring himself, was so fucking sexy and attractive. It was just something that made me desire you more than I ever had before. And instead of all the hot guys that I had matched with on Hinge, it was like I was way more interested in pursuing you, my husband. And that's when I let go of, exploring outside of the relationship, and I completely focused on you and us. And that's when I realized I had a lot of big changes, because I needed to learn how to take responsibility for myself. I had unknowingly counted on him and treated him poorly in lots of ways, and I could see, wow, like it's time for me to be the partner that he deserves, that he's been trying to pull me to being all these years. It was like when he finally stopped all that and prioritized himself, it created the space in our relationship. It created the conditions for me to want to rise up, to be that amazing partner that I am today, that I'm so proud to be today. And I'm so grateful for you for figuring out this path. Like, I know you had support, and you invested in a lot of like gurus and mentors and did so many different modalities, but it's like I feel like you didn't have the blueprint, and you figured this out, and you making these changes is what created the shift in the dynamic in our relationship, where I don't know if I would be the man that I am today if I hadn't followed your lead. And I mean, at the time it just felt like such a no-brainer. But I'm so glad that we get to experience such a different contrast today. For those who are wanting more and feel like they're trying everything, I think it'd be helpful for them to hear from you, like what is possible, and that it only really takes one person in the relationship to change everything.
Well, first, I had to make sure all the things I was doing were things I was doing for myself first and foremost, not because I was hoping the relationship would change. And I did have to go through a period of time where there was a lot of resistance, where I stopped doing certain things that made things easy for him. And I got to be peaceful and calm and in my power if he threw some tantrums once in a while. And it also took some time to rebuild trust, because I felt betrayed for reasons. And so I want to share, this wasn't an overnight thing. And also, our situation might be more extreme than yours is right now. You might not be at the deep depths of challenges and issues that we were at, or maybe you are. But I started to see that he was showing up with more attentiveness, more care, more softness. Like, it was clear that he started to really care about how I was feeling. And he was prioritizing my feelings, my emotions. He wasn't trying to bulldoze me. That's what I started to see first. Our sex got a whole lot better as time went on, because that emotional connection, like trust, was being rebuilt. I was feeling honored and respected by him more. And so that was a big turn on for me. Like, I'm someone that does not really get horny unless I have a deep emotional connection, where I feel really loved, valued, and respected. And I remember some of the best sex that we ever had would start with just like sitting on the couch and talking, and him just sharing like how much he loves me, how much he cares about me, how grateful he is for me. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, I'm getting hard now. Like, let's go have some sex. Like, that's when I remembered a lot of like our sex life started picking back up again. And it wasn't because we were trying to plan how to have better sex. We weren't even like scheduling sex or talking about strategies or techniques on how it could make sex better. The sex got better as a result of us seeing each other, hearing each other, feeling more loved and respected by each other, and expressing that love in non-sexual ways. And then the amazing sex was a manifestation of what was already amazing. And now it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like clockwork in an amazing way, where it's just like so good every single week, many times, several times a week, and it keeps getting better and better. And I can tell he feels so uplifted. He feels so much pleasure when we're having sex. Like, I love to give and serve in the bedroom, and I love how he feels so much pleasure and bliss and ecstasy, and that turns me on. And then after it's over, he's just like, clothes are back on, and he's just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm like the richest, happiest, most fulfilled man alive. And then I love that he feels that way. And then that turns me on because I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I'm like, yeah, I can fulfill him that much. That makes me feel good about myself, right? And I love him, and I love him, and I want him to feel like he's the happiest man alive. And I have feelings so much like, so when we first got together in 2016, like there was so much love, so much passion, like so much honeymoon phase. Like I remember feeling in my heart like, oh my gosh, is this my man? Is this the partner that I've been wanting my whole entire life? Is this too good to be true? I feel like I won the jackpot. I feel like I won the lottery with him right before all the drama started. It was just pure bliss, love, passion, and clinginess and attachment.
That we couldn't see at the time.
Right, we weren't aware of it. And I've been feeling that way again. Every week, I continue to elevate my energy. I continue to own my king energy in new ways each and every week in all facets of my life, like in my physical fitness, in my business relationships, with my family. And it's reflected back to me. He continues to rise and show up and treat me even better with more love, more respect than he was last week. And I was 100% happy with him last week. I couldn't have imagined what he could have done better. And sure enough, here he is showing up even better. Like, it's that fucking good. And this is rare. That's why I feel so happy and grateful that we have truly cracked the code, not just to how to reverse challenging relationship issues, but to get it to be better beyond your wildest dreams.
It truly is. It's really amazing. And I'm so grateful that Andrew took the lead in our relationship, because at the time I felt like I was benefiting from his overgiving and people pleasing and self-sacrificing. It was like he wanted to prioritize me, I wanted to prioritize me. Match made in heaven, right? And so when he at first started making changes, I did have a lot of resistance, and I was trying to pull him back down, and I wanted things to stay the same. I had no idea how much better things could get. You rising into your king energy created space and inspired me to rise into mine, where we both communicate what's on our mind. And when we feel like something's off or something is bothering us, we check in with ourselves and clean up our own energy and then come to one another. And I feel like that level of depth in the communication skills is what's really helped us keep that newness and that novelty and that primal hedonistic type of lustful, erotic spark alive that most gay men think they can only have in the honeymoon phase. Most gay men think they can only have in an open relationship with new partners. We're completely monogamous, and I'm so glad that we have what feels to me like a transcendent, sacred sexual connection where it's like all parts of my body I feel like are yours, and all parts of your body I feel like are mine. And I just feel like I hit the jackpot, because I feel like every time like we touch, it's so magnetic and so special. And I've never felt so much freedom to just fully let go, feel so fully seen and so completely naked. You know, there's no performance in our relationship. We're not walking on eggshells. We're not tiptoeing. We're not showing the other person who we think they want us to be. None of that is happening. And it's new levels of self-exploration and growth that we keep bringing into this space. It's why it just never gets old. It keeps getting more and more exciting. And that level of growth outside the bedroom is what makes things so exciting inside the bedroom. And it's like we don't need new positions, toys, techniques, and clearly we don't need new partners to feel this level of this just bliss. And I love that we feel this way, whether we're just sitting on the couch cuddling or having an incredible, like, mind-blowing, penetrative type of erotic experience. It's just all so fun and so special. Mm-hmm. And I really give you so much like praise and respect for being the one that really steered the ship in this direction. It's like when you finally stopped waiting on me to change so that you could be happy and learned how to make yourself happy without needing me to change, and also knowing you weren't going to wait around forever if I didn't step the fuck up. It's just like that's what really transformed our relationship dynamic, and that's really at the core of what we together, now that I've done the inner work to take responsibility for myself, to step the fuck up and also own my king energy, this is what we guide other gay men to being able to do. And you know, if you're feeling like you can't figure out why your partner doesn't respect you or appreciate you or reach for you, if you're not feeling desired, whether you're, you know, single and keep attracting emotionally unavailable men, or just feeling like you can't find that spark, or if you're in a long-term relationship and you feel like the honeymoon phase is past and you're feeling more like roommates than lovers, it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's not because of how you look or how old you are. It's about the energy and the energetic dynamic in your relationship. It's the most important factor. It's the biggest factor that determines how people feel when they're with you and how they treat you and whether they take you for granted or not. It's all about your energy. And I love that this is really the foundation of what we teach in our energetic attraction coaching program.
Right. And you also, it's possible you could be in a relationship where there's no clear like overgiver, and like where I was the clear overgiver and he was the one taking for granted.
You can both be in caregiver energy.
It's very possible for you to both be in caregiver energy, or there's always, we still find areas where we are showing up in caregiver energy that can be flipped into king energy. And sometimes it's in areas outside of our relationship. And so when you can find these specific areas where you're showing up in caregiver energy, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's with family members, friends, your career, like if it's happening in your career, that is going to spill over into your relationship and kill the spark in your relationship. And we've cracked the code. We've created a scientifically proven process, a framework that when you follow the steps, when you go through the work, you get to own and harness more of your unique king energy literally every single week. Like you get to make progress and it gets to be tangible and noticeable. It's really amazing. We're so excited about it. And we have other men who have worked with us who have gone through our services. Some are now like 3 years, 4 years, in the most thriving relationships they've ever been in, where every year is so amazing and every year just keeps getting better and better. And this is a standard and desire we have for you, that you get to know yourself as the king that you are. You get to honor yourself as the king that you are. You get to see yourself as the amazing, incredible catch you are deep down. And from this place, create your life, create your reality, so that every year you're alive feels like it's been the best year of your life when you just sum up all the things you're experiencing. And yeah, it all starts with your energy, just like he was saying.
And what would you like to say to those watching who might be interested in exploring this with us?
Yeah, so I also have learned that the best kings have the best advisors. And while no one single-handedly helped me achieve what I achieved, if it wasn't for my advisors, my coaches, my mentors, I would not be here in the relationship I am in with Zach right now. No possible way. Zero chance. And we want you to have the best advisory, the best support available, without needing to invest nearly as much money as I did, without needing to hire nearly as many coaches or practitioners, or spend nearly as much hours journaling, processing things.
Trying to put all the pieces together yourself.
Right. We want you to have just a clear framework and roadmap where you can just relax into it, follow the steps.
Specific tools, specific processes, guiding you step by step, every step of the way.
Yeah, we want you to have that, and we want you to apply for energetic attraction coaching and see if it's a fit for you. It's very simple and powerful work. It's not always easy. It does give you opportunities to maybe face certain fears, to practice building courage, to practice building confidence. But if you're someone that wants to know yourself better, that wants to really connect to this deep well of confidence that you know deep down somewhere it's there, this is for you. And we've got an amazing system to help you. So click on the link below this video, wherever it is, or comment the word energy or king, messages energy or king. There's ways to get in touch with us if you're serious about wanting our personalized guidance to not only help you have the most thriving, passionate relationship imaginable with your current or future partner, but really live your most incredible, thriving life you've ever dreamed of.
Yes. If this resonated with you, we'd love for you to reach out. We'd love to connect more and explore if this is a good fit. We've helped hundreds of gay men go through this process, overcome the fears and doubts and insecurities that get in the way, that keep them in this perpetual cycle of giving more than they're receiving. There is a path through this, and you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to figure it out all by yourself with trial and error over multiple years like Andrew did. There is a proven system, and we would love to invite you to explore taking this next step with us.
Yeah, just cut straight through to what you want.
Hope this has been helpful for you, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Yeah.